We are headed to the Cavern of Skulls. But here's the cavern. Right, human skulls were found in this cave by explorations in the 1800s. Castalian Springs. We're here. Old Springs is here. Castalian Springs Mineral Springs Hotel right here. This is where you come to get healed. All the doctors were here. You guys know the story. Yes, unbelievable. Healing waters. Oh yeah, that's great, guys. That's great water. We're at the Bledsoe Fort Historic Park. Right here, guys. This is the old fort. Built in 1783, used by nearby families during Indian attacks. Everybody inside the fort to protect everybody. And of course, they still got slain. Just north of us, just this way, is where we're going to go down the Chesiki Mounds. That's the Castalian Springs Mound site, guys. That has the best artifacts you'll ever find everywhere, anywhere. We're going to unpack it. We're going to go right to the springs soon, guys. There's springs all over this place. Isaac Bledsoe discovered the salt lick that bears his name in 1772. His and other explorers' reports of the rich land and game brought settlers to the area despite the dangers. Isaac Bledsoe looked on great herd of bison. As accomplished hunter and explorer and woodsman, he realized the animals were here for the salt and the water that oozed from the mineral spring. That's why he came. He was a long hunter. It just means they came for long journeys from Virginia, North Carolina. This was a sacred area, burial grounds. First it was for the pygmies. Then it was for the mound builders. And then we came along eventually, started taking their stone mounds apart, building cabins like this. They took all these stones off the stone mound, basically a pyramid. Beautiful stonework, ancient. Insane. The Hugh Rogan Stone Cottage. Hugh Rogan was born in 1747 in Ireland, and he came over here, fled to America in 1775. He built his 2-room stone house, the Rogana, on Bledsoe Creek in 1796. Look at this wall over here. Everywhere we go, they got the old walls where they basically dismantle all the old world structures. They go through all the way through these trails, all the way through this area. It's insane. Who knows where they repurposed this? But they did, I'm sure of it. Here's some of the old cabins they put together down here. Who knows where they got these from, guys? They're down here. We're going on the trail over here. Ancient submarine right here. Who knows, guys? Oh yeah, it's Captain Horace Lawson, Confederate States Navy. Everybody was here, guys. Andrew Jackson was here. He lived about 20 minutes away from here. His home in Hermitage, Tennessee. His good buddy Earl was down here uncovering, grave robbing all the mounds down here, guys. Look at this, man. Nathaniel Parker was one of the first long hunters that came to this area. He served with George Washington during the French and Indian War. He had his cabin here. This is the Parker cabin. Really cool. It's kind of the old area. We're gonna go up to the Cavern of Skulls. That's why we're here, and the springs. Let's go, guys. All right, we're on the trail, guys. We are headed to the Cavern of Skulls. They called it the Cavern of Skulls from what they found inside the cave, guys. There's caves everywhere. These are mortuary caves. Stone walls everywhere around here. Who knows what they were originally for? We got landmarks up here, other forts and stations in the area. Yeah, look at them all, guys. These are all the stations right here as they were taking over this area, the Middle Cumberland. Oh, we're coming up to one of the cemeteries. The Pioneer Cemetery, of course, it's called the Pioneers. One of the oldest cemeteries in Sumner County. The Bledsoes are in here. The Indians were not giving up this area very easily. They were scalping people all the way up to the 1800s, right before the Louisiana Purchase of 1804. We've got stone crypts over here. We're respecting this area, guys, but we are going to explain a little bit about this history. And here's Colonel Anthony Bledsoe, killed by Indians 200 yards west from this spot, and his brother Isaac were both killed by Indians. He was killed 300 yards from this spot. Guys, the Indians were coming in here massacring people that were taking over this mortuary mound complex. They found over 960 stone crypts from the stone race. And the stone boxes, guys, are very hard to find in the history. But they had a lot of stone boxes that they found right on this Indian mound site that we're going to show you in just a little bit. This is how you enter the cemetery in the good old days. There's our rock wall following us the whole way, guys. And you come right on out to this field. This was probably a mass Indian burial area right here. I would say it's for the Pygmies, because they put their fort right on it. Right over there is the old fort, the outlines of the buildings. We're gonna go there in just a little bit. We're just over there by that fort. Guys, we're on this mound. Who knows what this is? Nobody knows anymore. Guys, they were here in the 1830s desecrating everything. Well, the Cavern of Skulls is coming right up, guys. I'd love to go down there. There's caves all through this area. This is a mortuary caves. Oh, guys, we made it to the Cavern of Skulls. Insane. Right here. We're in the Cavern of Skulls right here. Here's the cavern. Right down in there, guys. We don't know what they found in here. We do know that there was headhunters here. I believe this is from the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex group. They also called them the Southern Death Cult Cavern of the Skulls. Human skulls were found in this cave by explorations in the 1800s. Two possibilities have been suggested for the presence of the skulls. With the ceremony mounds of the prehistoric village of Chesiki, located only 300 yards to the east, the discovery of the medallion of gorges from one of these mounds. The skulls could have been possibly placed there following ceremonial sacrifices, or they were trophy skulls for combat with enemy tribes. This is only one of many caves in Sumner County formed from minerals dissolving from limestone rock over periods of thousands of years. During the later part of the 19th century, they filled in the entrance to the cave to prevent souvenir seekers from digging up the floor of the cave. In 1994, a significant discovery was made: petrified bones of a large herd of precarious pig-like animals dated to the Ice Age, 15 to 30,000 years ago. Look at the picture, guys. The Cavern of the Skulls. This is it. There's not just one of these caves. There's caves all through this area. Right down here is a big hill that all the caves are coming out of. This is a mortuary cave, guys. This was a mortuary cave. And all the mortuary relics were in this cave. Guys, in the 1820s, Ralph Earl was the first guy to make it here, and he started digging up all the mounds. And guess who Ralph Earl was? Ralph Earl was Andrew Jackson's best friend, and he actually was a painter. And after Andrew Jackson became president, he moved to Washington, and he painted all Andrew Jackson's paintings, guys. This place is where they produce crystalline earbobs and ear spools for ears, guys. All the calcite and the fluorite crystals all came from these caves. They would go down in these caves. They found so many crystals of all different workmanship from start to finish, so they know that they were producing them. This was the work site for the crystalline earbobs, guys. They found these earbobs everywhere. They found them in spiral mounds, Kokia mounds, Etowah. This was the same mound builders of Mississippian culture. We're not going to go too far down this hill, but guys, if I go down this is where all the other caves are. We don't have time to explore too much. We just want to show you guys that this is everywhere down here. Andrew Jackson was right down here pulling up the pygmy stone mound graves, guys. There's stone mounds, crypts all through here. It's insane. This is insane, guys. Who knows what's tucked away in these caves down here? They found one, but you know they found a lot more than the Cavern of Skulls. Now we're at the spring in the spring house, guys. The actual stockade site was selected based on the closest and safest access to the water supply and the best defense position. This spring served as the primary water source for the fort located in the field above. We're at the spring house. It's right here. This is one of the springs. Yes, unbelievable. Healing waters. Oh yeah, it tastes great, guys. That's great water. Wow. Look at this spring. We're here, guys. We are here. We're going to collect a little bit of this water and do our testing. I just want to show you guys it coming in right here. Unbelievable. And I'm sure in the summertime, watercress and water cups are growing in here. And you guys know what that is. That's ancient water. An ancient food, healing food. Ancient healing foods. Ancient waters. Look at the spring, guys. Look at this. Castalian Springs. Boom. We've got a spring right here. Guys, don't come out here in the summertime. You know there's going to be snakes everywhere. That's why we love doing our winter work. Look at this spring. Unbelievable. The spring house, guys. Everybody was here. Andrew Jackson was here. This side, I'm pretty sure they would pack all their stuff into this side. Not sure what spring this is. There was about 20 springs all through the area, especially by the mounds. When we get to the mounds, you'll really see. Historic Wynnewood, guys. We're here. Colonel Alfred Royal Wynne, 1800 to 1893, was a trader and merchant at Castalian Springs. In 1828, he built this stagecoach inn along the Knoxville Road. Guys, this was the first Castalian Springs resort, Mineral Springs Resort. This was before the Civil War. It opened in 1830s, and then they reopened it after about 1880s. It opened till about 1920s. This was the old Castalian Springs Mineral Springs Hotel right here. This is where you'd come to get healed. All the doctors were here. You guys know the story. Of course, it's built on an Indian mound. There's mounds all around here, guys. They claim there was 12 of them. Of course, it's haunted. Of course, it's haunted.
This is a place people have been coming to since there have been people here.
Before stepping foot inside what was once a Mineral Springs resort, people are walking into the earliest history of mankind.
So we usually talk about the lick. That's where the sulfur spring comes out onto the, would deposit minerals onto the ground. Animals would come and try to lick those minerals out of the ground, and so that created human habitation here from like about 15,000 years ago. There's actually mammoth bones over there.
It's a story Tanya Staggs knows very well as executive director of Historic Castalian Springs.
And the post office was basically a little cabinet like this.
Telling the story of Tennessee and Sumner County through 3 unique historic house museums: Cragfont, circa 1798, Hawthorne Hill, circa 1805, and Wynnewood, 1830. Castalian Springs Inn served travelers coming into Tennessee, along with guests seeking the curative sulfur springs.
We have a couple of census records that show doctors being here. Their primary function here would be to prescribe how you were going to take the sulfur.
The Wynnes become sole proprietors in 1834, and the inn became their home. Census records help estimate the Wynnes had 7 to 15 enslaved people working on the property.
Slavery is part of tobacco and sugar and cotton and literally every part of an American's life during that time. And for someone like Alfred, he's able to take advantage of that and profit from that. He's a small-scale slave trader.
Wynnewood is the largest 19th century log structure still standing in Tennessee. The main house spans a length of 142 feet, and some of the logs are 32 feet long.
The Wynne family owns this until George Wynne passes away, and then the state of Tennessee purchases it.
Wynnewood State Historical Site, Castalian Springs, guys. We're here. Old World Springs is here. And right across the street, guys, this is the old springs are back here. There's a spring over here. The stone mound is right in front of us to the left. We're gonna go up to these landmarks right over here, guys. You can see Wynnewood way up there on that Indian mound. Check it out, guys. I'm gonna show you the landmark. Right across from us is the spring. Lick Creek is coming right through there. Bledsoe's Lick. The spring to the north was a rendezvous for the salt-seeking game in the pre-pioneer days. First settlers came in 1779. In 1787, Isaac and Anthony Bledsoe and their families settled here. The 2 brothers were killed by Indians and buried in the family plot 500 yards northwest. Bledsoe Female Academy also was near here. Of course, they had a female academy in the 1820s. That's what you do, guys. You make female academies when there's not even a state here yet. Okay, what a story, guys. I'm sure those buildings were already here. But guys, the springs, another spring's right across from us. And we're gonna go over it right now. It's right back there. And guys, this is where all the salt licks were. They wanted these salt licks, guys. We're going right over now. We're gonna check out this right now, guys. There's a well right here. They built a well. This is where they were getting the mineral spring waters. Boy, it stinks in here, guys. Wow. This is the sulfur, man. This is really stinky. This is eggs, guys. This smells just like eggs. Oh, it's coming out right here. We found another spring, guys. I'm gonna say this is the sulfur spring, obviously. Oh my gosh, guys, this smells like eggs. This is crazy. Good to know that's still running. It's right there. It is, guys. You can see the sediment built on top. You could easily clean this out, restart this. Of course they won't. They never do, guys. Go to the Walgreens, go to CVS. They want you to go there to get your magnesium. All your healing Epsom salts when it's all here for free. Salt Lick Creek. Beautiful, guys. That water is stinking. Woo! Guys, this is it. We're here. The Castalian Mound site is right across from this river right here, this creek. We're at the Castalian Springs Mound site. There's the only one left. There was 12 mounds at this site at one time. And it's hard to see, but it's back there, guys. That's the last mound. And who knows what's under there, because there's no reason why they didn't excavate the whole thing out. They did not want to excavate the whole thing out, which makes me think there's something under there. Could be a stone pyramid. Who knows, guys? Guys, we're at the landmark, the Chesiki Indian village, home of the mound builders. The remains of the earthworks 300 yards east across Rock Springs Road are visible reminders of the mound builders of the woodland Indian culture. A ceremonial mound was within the enclosure, along with several mounds of lesser size. Inside the enclosed area, there were burial mounds containing numerous stone box graves. Guys, I found one article said they found 960 of them. The Smithsonian was right here. A variety of artifacts were found during the explorations. They found gorgets, and the best one that's in the Smithsonian, the Birdman, or the Red Horn, or Red Star they call him, but he was a head hunter. He has a severed head in his right hand. He has a Thurston mace in his left hand. They believe that Thurston mace from that depiction is the one, and I believe it's in the one in the Tennessee Museum, the Thurston collection. Thurston was friends with William Meyer. He's the guy that came here in the 1880s. He worked with the Smithsonian. He did 3 digs. He was an amateur archaeologist. Guys, we're uncovering this.
We're in the National Museum of the American Indian looking at a gorget. This is a neck ornament. It's only a few inches high, but it's very finely carved.
Made out of shell, so the material probably came from the Gulf of Mexico, but the object was found in the middle of Tennessee in a large town site called Castalian Springs that was active about 1200 to 1300, right in the middle of what we call the Mississippian period.
And it was found in a burial mound.
It was excavated in 1891 by an amateur named William Meyer. We know from his notes that the burial mound had over 100 burials in it, but this burial was one of the earliest right at the base of the mound, and it was unusually elaborate. Not only this gorget, but there are others. One placed on his or her throat, the others gathered in a little bundle between his or her feet. He or she had shell beads and pearl beads and other ornaments as well. So it's a very important individual that very likely was important to the founding of the site. Look carefully, you'll see the figure has this odd fork shape around his eyes. That is a reference to a marking on a bird, a peregrine falcon. We know from other gorgets like this, there are figures that have more bird attributes. They may have wings, they may have talons. So this figure has a human form, but he also has a bird form.
And so we believe that this figure that we see in Mississippian iconography is linked to a culture hero named Morning Star.
Well, we call him Morning Star, and Morning Star, of course, is the planet Venus. The morning, it rises in the sky just before the sun, and as the sun sets, it descends right after the sun. Images of this Birdman Morning Star figure I found in cave art, rock art locations all throughout this area of the Midwest, and in other media as well, sometimes in copper.
The figure is head up, but we can see on the right two small circles, and so we know that the figure that we see on the gorget would have looked up at the wearer,
pulling the head of the deceased father, if that's in fact who he is, up into the sky world.
In Mississippian ideas of the supernatural, we have a world above and a world below with the earthly in the center.
A customary way of thinking about this in the native world is that the earth is a disk and it faces the sky during the day, but as it turns, it faces the night sky, the underworld that rises up above our terrestrial world.
He's heavily adorned. He wears a necklace made of beads. He's got beads around his legs, this elaborate loincloth, and a really fabulous headdress, too.
And ear spools. They're very likely made of local mica. He's holding that wonderful mace made of stone in one hand.
We're so fortunate to have this gorget to remind us of these complex cultures that lived in North America before contact, before European colonization.
And the rich legacy of art making. And these kinds of objects circulated among different people of leadership and authority. They are incredibly complex in their iconography to convey these complicated ideas. So it's a rich visual legacy, which we probably haven't paid as much attention to as we should.
1874, an unusual pictograph inscribed on a slab of hard limestone about 19 inches long and 15 inches wide was discovered. It is now part of the Thurston collection, with is housed in the Tennessee State Museum. Guys, that inscribed slab, that is called the tablet, the Thurston tablet. Thurston was here, his collection. He was about 15 minutes north of here, and he found the best artifacts ever, guys. The Thurston mace, which is in the Tennessee Museum right now. But they had 12 mounds. That's mound 2, the one in the middle, and they excavated that. That was a platform mound. There was platform mounds and towers above all these. This is astronomical in agriculture, guys. This has the winter solstice. This plans out everything. There's a mound there that you can tell they basically disintegrated it. And the stone mound, they had one stone mound, and it's behind us to the left. But I'm on the site right now where the stone mound was, I'm pretty sure. Obviously they took it down, took all the relics out. I'll show you we're back on the creek. But what I want to show you guys is the site that I believe is right. Stone mound's right here. I'm actually gonna follow it, guys, right here. We're in the stone mound right here. This is where the stone mound was. I'm on it. Sacred area. And there's Wynnewood. Of course, it's up on this mountain here, and it's not a hill, it's a Indian mound, I'm sure. You wouldn't know. You have to dig about 30 feet below that. There's probably a stone mound underneath that, or an Indian burial, or a pygmy burial. Guys, the stone statues they found in this, the Middle Cumberland statues, are what all the museums want. That's what Andrew Jackson took. But who knows what they took in the early 1800s. They found a large, well-shaped female head fashioned from dark gray sandstone was found near the village in 1888. It is in the collection of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. One of the most precious items they found was Our Lady of the Castalian Springs effigy bottle. They found all these statues, and this is where they were making the statues at, guys. We know there's a pygmy grave. They found a pygmy grave. They found a pygmy grave in Nashville. We're right outside of Nashville, guys. This is where all the pygmies were found in the early 1800s. But we're right here, guys, the Chesiki Mound. I can see it right here. We're gonna take a look at the publication of the Tennessee Archaeology, Fall 2013, Volume 7, Number 1. On page 42, Tennessee's Ancient Pygmy Graveyards, the Wonder of the Western Country. This article is written by Kevin E. Smith, and this is one of the best articles I've found on pygmies, especially the spot of the Sumner County Castalian Springs mentioning. In July 1820, newspapers first reported the discoveries of Tennessee graveyards filled with the stone-lined coffins of a primordial pygmy race. Over the subsequent 2 centuries, Tennessee pygmies became a persistent and reoccurring part of national and international archaeological folklore. Despite efforts by antiquarians and archaeologists to disprove these stories, the legend of the Tennessee pygmies survived those challenges. This was the first wave of the White County pygmies discovered in 1820s to the 1850s. The Nashville Whig had their first newspaper article. And then here's the second wave, a national scientific issue, 1860s to 1880s. All the museums, all the historical societies, they were all trying to figure it out. And then it goes down to the 1870s. When you get to the Smithsonian, there's pages and pages of this, but finally it gets to the Smithsonian expeditions of 1875. With the United States Centennial celebration approaching in 1876, the widespread stories of Tennessee pygmies apparently began to concern the leadership of the Smithsonian Institution. In conjunction with the Centennial, Philadelphia was to host the first major World's Fair and exposition in the United States. Intermingled with the host of the stories about the nature and the origins on the mound builders, the ancient mound builder race, the pygmies became a centerpiece of the Smithsonian interest in Tennessee. In 1874, Joseph Henry, first secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, wrote a number of Tennessee citizens seeking their assistance in examining the pygmy graveyard stories. And they went on to debunk it. Finally, they debunked it. But the funny thing is as soon as they debunked it, a big story came out. Although the question was now answered to the satisfaction of the national and international scientific community, the myth of the ancient Tennessee pygmies would prove resilient. An astonishing discovery of a cemetery in Coffee County was announced in papers nationwide. An ancient graveyard of vast proportions has been found in Coffee County and shows the race of pygmies who once inhabited this country was very numerous. The bones show they were a dwarf tribe of people, about 3 feet high, and it's estimated that there were about 75 to 100,000 of them buried there. That was from 1876, the Daily American. This stimulated an editorial in the Gallatin, Tennessee Examiner of March 18, 1876. This is our receipt, guys. This is our Castalian Springs receipt right here. Pygmy remains in Sumner County. We remember many years ago to have made excavations in the yard of Colonel Alfred R. Wynne of Castalian Springs in this county, and we found the remains of a similar race of people. The bones indicated human beings not much above 3 feet in height. The most singular circumstance was their burial in layers, one above another. The graves were formed of stone slabs at the side, end, and bottom and covered in the same manner. After taking out the upper body, we found a second and third grave exactly underneath the bones. The bones did not disintegrate as it usually the case, were found in the earth as we kept the skeleton for a year or two in our office. These graves are in a few hundred yards of the famous mound in the spring lot, which was opened by the artist Earl a great many years ago. We're at Cragfont. This was the house of Major George Winchester. He was the founder of Memphis. All these founding fathers, guys, all these Union and Confederate soldiers, they were the ones that took over everything, guys. Look at this guy. Of course, they had a plantation here of corn. This was all filled with corn. It was already growing. They didn't do anything but just come here and take it over. Look at these stone walls everywhere. Look at this place, guys. This is insane. Winchester's family and slaves operated the plantation. In 1863, the 1st Kentucky Cavalry under Frank Wolford occupied the house and grounds. This is crazy, guys. So many people took over these places. Everybody wanted this place, guys. This is insane. Look at this place. This is so haunted. So many people died in this place.
Beautifully maintained, it's one of the oldest houses in the mid-state. Its past, at times though, has been troubled.
And maybe the reason why the caretakers believe it has had hundreds of things happen that they cannot explain.
News Channel 5 photojournalist Nathan Sharkey takes us to Castalian Springs, where on top of a lonely hill sits the Cragfont plantation.
The house, of course, belonged to James Winchester. He built it in 1798. Took that gentleman 4 years to build it.
General Winchester, they suffered so much fires, Indians attacked, people being carted off.
The last man scalped in Sumner County was the general's Winchester's brother.
I think it's just spirits that for some reason can't rest and can't go on to the next step.
It has an attraction because of my love of history and my love of antiques. But yes, we dealt with several things that we didn't understand, and we didn't understand why.
Came upstairs here in the bedrooms, and there were just hordes of bugs. There were a lot of dead flies, dead wasps, all on the windowsills, all on the floor, on the dressers.
With males, it's a little bit more aggressive. I probably have purchased 10 to 12 pair of glasses because it would hit me and knock them off. I scratch them, I grab them and bend them.
Went into the other room, and we had smoothed all the beds down to make sure the bedspreads looked really nice. And there was the imprint of a body, like somebody had slept in this bed.
It likes to take books out of the secretary upstairs, and I'll find them many times up on the bed with a deep impression as if you're sitting there reading it.
Yes, Lo was simply walking upstairs, but this whole door apparently just fell off and clipped the glass on his head.
I walked in the entrance door, and I heard what I thought was a bird fluttering upstairs. I never found the bird. As I was coming down the stairs, I felt something hit me right here. I thought it was a bird. It was not a bird, it was a rope around my neck, and I have the rope. I've had my go-rounds with them.
There is definitely something here.
It's their home. Challenge them? No way. I'm just not going to do it any longer, although I did when I was a little younger.
How has this happened? We don't know. We don't ask.
Insane, guys. Who knows what's underneath this house? I'm sure the pygmies were buried here. Look at this. There's an old spring in the back. Spring house. I can see the pump right there. That's where they were getting their water. Before the 1860s, guys, this is where they took every artifact out of America. Who knows where they went to, guys? Egypt started getting all the mummies in the 1800s. Look at this place. Check out the spring. Wow. Look at this brick, guys. You think they just came out here in the 1800s? Colonel Winchester was just breaking these himself? I doubt it. I'm sure they repurposed it from the stone mounds all over Chesiki Mounds. Look at the spring well right here, guys. We're here. Look at this ancient spring. This is where you get your water. Unbelievable, guys. There's the spring right over there. You know it ain't working. I'm sure they were taking the waters right here. Crazy, guys. Look at this property. Who knows what's underneath this property? Insane. We are here. Look right out at the spring. Cragfont. We're here. Insane. Way up in the mountains, guys, in Tennessee.